Let's talk about placebo for a second. And I bet you that I have an argument that you've never heard of. Now, it's pretty well documented in the scientific literature that 30% of patients see an improvement, and in some cases a full remission or cure on placebo, right? You give a sugar pill, and their own mind, their own consciousness, they believe that they've received some medication and they get better. 30% of the time. That's pretty well documented. Okay, cool. So we have this other group where you give an active ingredient, a drug, right? Some chemical, some molecule. And let's just say that 70%, let's say 80, I don't care. Let's be liberal. 75, 80%. Over here, you give an active ingredient, 70% of the time there's an improvement. Okay, cool. 30% of the time, sugar pill, improvement. 70% of the time, active ingredient, improvement. Okay. What about this? If it works 30% of the time over here with nothing but sugar, why wouldn't it work 30% of the time over there? If I give you a sugar pill and 30% of the time you show improvement over here on this control group, 30% of the time you get better, sometimes cure on this side with just a sugar pill. And then I give you an active ingredient, another group, an active ingredient, my drug, and I see a 70% increase. Would it be fair to say that 30% of the placebo would also transfer to the active ingredient group? Because the people in the active ingredient group, they don't know. They're just getting a pill. Just like the placebo. They don't know. So 30% of the time, they're healing themselves. Would that be fair to say? What do you think? So the bottom line is, if I have a 70% improvement in this group with my active ingredient drug that I give them, however, I have to subtract 30% because we know that placebo works 30% of the time. Wouldn't that sort of take away from the positive results of whatever active ingredient or drug that I gave that group over there? So I guess in essence what I'm saying is it kind of pokes a hole. You know, I kind of see a flaw in this double-blind placebo, you know, the gold standard of testing. Because if I have a drug that works 70% of the time, wouldn't it be reasonable to subtract the 30% placebo that we know exists over here? If placebo works 30% of the time over here, why would we not take that into account, subtract that from our positive drug result? Do you know what I mean? Doesn't that kind of make sense? If placebo works 30% over here, why wouldn't it work 30% over there? And if it does, which we know that it does, why wouldn't we just automatically subtract 30%? So if I have a 70% positive result, wouldn't it be reasonable to say that, well, I gave actual drug to this group and it was 70% positive result, but I know that 30% is placebo, so it's really only 40%. Therefore, what? My active ingredient, my drug is only, 10% better than placebo?